So this morning when you woke up and you thought, I'm going to this conference today, what was the one thing that you wanted to see happen today?
Whoa, you're right, that is a big question. So what I thought today would be really good to get people thinking about dreaming and ideas, so that when we talk about innovation, it isn't just what are the practical things we need to do for the next 6 years, 10 years, 12 years, but what can we dream about whatever the hell might happen in the future.
So it's not just about picking winners, it's about making sure that we're thinking about what the world's going to look like in 10 years, in 50 years.
Yeah, look, picking winners is not such a bad thing, because when you're investing money, you want to know that you're going to get some sort of outcome. But also, what are the other ways we can think about the world and ourselves? You know, with these big challenges, there's big opportunities. So that dreaming big and thinking about things differently, that seemed really cool this morning at 5 o'clock.
And what's something that you've seen happen today that you've thought that was really cool, and you've taken a note and you thought that was really great?
Well, I thought some of the ideas that people talked about, funding not necessarily being the big barrier that we always talk about it being. I think the other one is that although we're in Australia, we're the wrong time zone, the wrong geography, we can still have a big impact, and it's not just about being right there in the middle of, say, the US or the UK.
So what are some of the opportunities?
Look, I think what Australia does really well, and what we all want, is almost personalised medicine. So understanding what's right for us. You know, eventually we'll all die, but maybe we'll all live even longer the more we go on. We can do that in a way that's really healthy and stay active and alert and all those things. So I think anything that's thinking about how do we not get into the disease states that you might need the interventions from medical technologies and pharmaceuticals.
So science that leads to preventative medicine rather than cures.
Well, that'd be a great start, because it's much better to stay healthy than to think, how do I become healthy again? Yeah.
When you're looking at ideas and you're sitting on a panel about, deciding on ideas, when you're looking at ideas to pursue or getting involved in or invest in or put your weight behind, What do you look for?
Well, first of all, have they articulated it clearly? So can they communicate what they're doing? And that's rare. So in science, I think one of the things, and engineering, which is my background, getting people to communicate clearly is a rare thing. So first of all, do I even know what they're telling me? Then I'm looking for, and will it make a difference that's important? And then I look for, and is it going to be something that will go beyond the next 6 months?
Have you met any cool people or had any interesting conversations today?
I did, actually, and I was thinking about, as I came across here, how it's a group where people want to talk to each other. It isn't like you're feeling like you've come to a party and you're excluded. And I was speaking with one young fellow from WA who's talking about a project he's working on, but it's not just at WA. He's got 19 partners across Australia, and he actually stood up and said, and I want more. I want everyone to come and join and be part of it. So I think that spirit in Australia of wanting to work across Australia, getting as many people in that consortium, I thought that was very cool, and I think it's really important. How do you get as many ideas at the table and work out what's going to make a difference?
What would you like to see as an outcome from today?
I think keeping people talking and thinking, but those opportunities that I saw in the break, and even as people were asking questions, you could see people making that mental note, I must catch up with that person. There's Alan, there's Kevin, there's Jane and Julie. I want them to be part of the work that I'm doing. So if that spirit of, I want to keep making those connections, and not just in my discipline, but there was people from astrophysics. Well, what are they doing that's interesting? There were people from the agricultural sector. So I think that keeping that going would be really important.
Because I think it is interesting when you get people from two different sectors. So if you got someone from gaming and you brought them together with someone from healthcare, that could produce some interesting outcomes.
Well, and I think we have, so it's a really good example, because gaming is somewhere where you've got people thinking about the interface. And in healthcare, you're often thinking about just the therapy. So if you bring those two together, how do I make it easier to use my product? Well, the gamers have already thought about that, and they've got bright lights and fancy colours and cool graphics. So I think that is an important one to bring together.
In terms of medical science, what are some of the really exciting things that are coming out of Australia?
I think genomics, the work that's being done at the Garvan Institute in Sydney is one area. where we're really at the forefront of making genomics, understanding the human genome and making it affordable. And that we've gone from it costing $1.2 billion to sequence the human genome to less than $1,000. Now,
Wow.
That's cool. I mean, that would be amazing to understand why does something work for us and will it work for you? Maybe, maybe not. But your genetic imprint can give you those insights.
And in terms of your various projects and the organisations that you're working with, what is one big passion project that you'd like to see take place in the next 12 months?
The one that I think will really make a difference because it's building more platform, if you like, platform capability, is some of the work we're doing just around educating people on how do you take your science and then move it into business. So how do you build the skills? How do you know what's in the value chain? It's not enough to go from bright idea, yacht in the Caribbean 6 months later. It takes a little more time. So getting people that understanding, I think, is really important.
So how do you do that? How do you get the science and the business together?
Well, you bring them together, you sit them in the room. It's all of those connections that I was talking about that were happening in the break. You create that environment where people have that opportunity to connect and get together.
So science and business, how do we bring these two bits together?
Well, that's where, as you think about it, it's about people. And science is about people and business is about people. And so bringing them together and making those connections, it's not that hard. And it's just giving people a reason about why it matters for them. And I think all of that works and it'll happen.
So why is something like today so important?
Because you've got really interesting people in the room. You've got people from the academy, you've got people from business, you've got the startups, the big bucks, you've got the government groups, and you're able to capture the imagination of some people who are pretty influential. So I think just by doing that, by getting people in there who are going to be making decisions about money, about allocation of resources, about future policy, I mean, that's huge.
Is there one thing today that you heard and you wrote a note and you thought, I'm going to take that and tell somebody else?
I did actually, and now I'm going to have to remember it because I said I did. It's some of the work that was the panel that I went to just before lunch were talking about what they'd done in terms of commercialisation. And I think Daron Ben-Meyer from Melbourne Uni made the good point that let's not wait for venture capital to come back and give us money. Let's make sure we've got the successes and they'll come. So I think there's some really interesting insights around the whole commercialisation world and how it could fit with science.
So let's get our stories out there.
Absolutely.